Ohio. Work with the youth, the men, and the women in the community. So really nobody's left out. We work with them on different levels. We work with the youth in a youth mentoring program, primarily, well, I don't want to say minority, but I want to say disenfranchised, low income, urban population. So what we want to do is create a youth mentoring program that cultivates the art. You're screwing me up.
Pay me no attention, pay me no attention.
To cultivate their creative energy and really find their talents and their strengths, because if you teach a child by really honing in on their strengths, you're not really pulling up their misfortunes, and they feel better about themselves. So even though they got a rough life or a bad life or a not so great life, we're really not focused on that, because that is the focus anyway. We're focused on teaching you something or trying to figure out what it is you love, what it is you're talented at, what it is you're strong in. So different things.
Strengths and weaknesses.
Strengths and weaknesses. We want to be aware of your weaknesses so we know what to work on, but we want to focus on the strengths. So if a child likes to draw, a child likes to paint, a child likes to do music or photography, and they just really don't have the outlet to do that, I need people.
Is this a non-profit thing? Are you going to have other people involved as far as within each field of the arts? It could be singing, it could be dancing, it could be African dance, it could be anything like from drawing and finger painting to painting. And if so, where would the central base be for everyone to be at? Like to me, like where would everyone like come together to do these things? Is it going to be in New York? Is it going to be Brooklyn? Is it going to be Queens? Where would it be? I'm so sorry, Capri. You know,
No, man, no.
Running and
This is organic right here. This is organic. This is how I do.
We don't have a headquarters as of yet. We're working on that now. It will be a nonprofit organization when we register. We want to really begin in Cleveland and Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio, and New York. No, both simultaneously. Because I go back and forth. I can get the group in Ohio going. I have people already that's really waiting for me to find some mentors for their children. It's really bad. It's bad in Cleveland. It's really bad in Cleveland.
Ohio is,
The community's bad. I have street tribe leaders, OGs, begging me to sit down with me and talk about what they can do for the community, to turn their neighborhoods back into communities.
I have a question for you. What are the politicians doing? Because if you're saying that, street crime, pregnancies, dropouts, all of that it's not only there, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And because the economy is much worse, I think it's worse on a different scale in Ohio, in part because there is not that many people, but there's also not that many jobs. We're a big industry.
What are the politicians trying to do about that? Are they addressing the issues as far as Medicaid, as far as the senior citizens, as far as the certain block associations that we have here, which Capri, I think, knows about, like the Civic Association? In other words, is the community really getting involved outside of yourself?
No. And I think that's the problem. I think the problem is a lot of the parents are just tired. They don't know where to turn. They ask for help. The kids end up in court. They end up arrested. They get slapped on the hand, sent back out into the streets, and they do the same thing. There's really, even though there's a punishment in a sense, there is no punishment. I know a young boy, he spent a year in juvenile detention. He came back out and he really did the same thing that he was doing before. In part because there's no hope for them, or they feel that there's no hope for them. There's no community-based activities.
What about their parents? Are their parents listening? Are they, you know, because we always say it starts home.
It does start at home.
You know, are they addressing the early dropout, the things that are going on just within their community? Just like, let's say if this was Cleveland, are they addressing the liquor stores on the corners? Are they addressing the hand-to-hand, the dope, the smoking, the things of that nature? So therefore, that's everywhere. And if the political aspects, the people who we vote for, and if you can't turn to them, or more or less the parents, then I'm not saying it's not possible, but when it comes to our kind and our people, you know, sometimes we tend to turn our backs on all different levels, and we shouldn't. And I commend you for what you're doing, but it's going to take a whole lot of us to take our time to understand that it's just very important. Because why? Because we're selfish instead of being selfless.
Right.
Because as long as your family's okay, Capri's family's okay, and my family and so forth, then it's not like when we grew up. It's like, you know, the neighbors spoke. And that's why I asked you the question about, are they really caring about their area? Like, let's say 127 Park, everyone knew everyone. And even though we had problems, it seems like it's escalating more. So that, the question leads me to the politicians, the people that we have to, quote unquote, vote for.
Right.
Are they really saying, do they really want to sit down with you and talk to you about what's happening?
I don't know. I haven't even tried to approach a politician.
You have to.
I will.
Because
or
you know what's
I
happening?
will find me a publicist to do that.
No. To fund something like that on our own, it's going to take a lot of us to really be the number one question, like mine. To just be like, well, I have kids too. You have kids too. You have a husband, a boyfriend. I have grandkids. You know, can we come together like-minded? Can we be in this big circle right now without arguing and fighting? Can we come together for a common cause? And the bottom line, what it always comes down to is, who's going to help fund it?
Right.
Because that's really the key in the end, is funding it and then staying abroad of it, because the parents, whether or not they believe it or not, they won't participate unless something affects their child. And then when it affects their child, now they see what you're saying, they see what this brother's saying. And I mean, and the politicians, as long as they know that they can't contribute or don't want to contribute, they're like, well, why should they care about the community? Let the African Americans or the minority, so to speak, Spanish or whatever have you, do what they do. Day workers standing out there and everything. So it's like the kids only do what they see us do.
Right.
They only follow what we do. And that's why I'm saying that if the parents don't get involved, honey, it's going to be a tough situation.
So are we getting the parents involved? Like what?
We will get the parents involved. Mm-hmm. This is how I envision. This is my envision for the whole thing. I want to have a membership of the people that we're helping, the children that we're helping. Now, if Johnny knocks at our door and says, I want to be in a youth mentoring program, we need to talk to his parents. He's under the age of 18. So we want to talk to his parents, find out their story, the mental health professionals, the social services professionals, people that is within the social sciences will do all of that interviewing process, the intake. See where the need is. If there's a need because of the low income, because maybe the father's missing or the mother's missing out of the house, or out of the child's life altogether, then there's a need. That's it. I mean, low income and one parent home, or no parent home. What about the grandparents who are raising the children? We can't forget about them either.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So we do want to get the parents involved. We want it to be a family thing, because what we want to do is we want to get away from the mentality of an expressive individual or expressive individualism, because it isn't really about individualism. And I'm going to say the late 60s into the 90s, it was all about do you. And we have gotten away from the collective nature of our community. Mm-hmm. It's no longer collective thoughts or collective actions that we do. It's always what I'm doing, where I'm going, and what I'm doing, and what my child's doing. We're not caring about the child next door or the child down the street. I'm a mother of one, but I have 4 sons. And those 4 sons are listed on my Facebook as my sons, because that's where they come to me as their mom. If they need advice, they ask me, Mom, what do I do? They don't go to their mother. And I don't down their mother. I try to establish a friendship with their mother. At the same time, I'm establishing that friendship, I'm also trying to find out, why don't your children come to you? Mm-hmm. And that's real evident in conversations, certain behaviors that you see. it's difficult. It is difficult